Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the opportunity to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host, Mike Lepre, here with my co-host, Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This is episode 106 of Screwball. A little bit more eventful week this week to discuss. Some happenings around baseball and outside of MLB baseball. And even stuff still kind of breaking here. So let's just kind of jump right into it as we usually do with our episodes here. Jump right into the news section. And the first piece of news that I have for this week is the Trevor Bauer situation. So, in an unprecedented move by the MLB, Trevor Bauer has been suspended for 2 seasons, effective Friday, April 29th. This on top of Bauer having not pitched since June 28th, 2021, amidst his sexual abuse allegations. And while he will not face criminal charges, the MLB domestic violence policy does allow the MLB to discipline Bauer in any way they see fit. So, this whole situation kind of confuses me because basically the charges that were brought against Bauer, and I'm not going to get into the whole case because you could do a whole episode on the case and everything about it, and Bauer himself. But basically, Trevor Bauer had some sexual assault allegations. I believe another one had just come out recently as well. And one or two of the cases were not being brought to court because they didn't have enough. The judge didn't think that they had enough of a case to actually bring it to court. So the charges were dropped. So then Bauer had to get over the hurdle of what the MLB was going to do about suspension. And they suspended him 2 years without pay, effective immediately as soon as they brought the ban down. And again, he hasn't pitched in half a year. So this is already on top of them extending his administrative leave for, how many months through the lockout and everything. So just a strange situation. I really don't agree with a 2-season ban unless they have something that I don't know of that they're keeping behind closed doors, which could be entirely possible. But other than that, I just don't see a justification for it. If the guy is innocent, because it is innocent until proven guilty, if there's no charges being brought against him, I don't know what they have in their possession that could justify this 2-year ban, but I just don't know what it is. And I thought it important because the guy was being paid how many, he was one of the highest paid pitchers in the league, and the Dodgers, signed him that big deal, and he is one of the more animated, people in baseball, and it is the longest suspension given out, over A-Rod's, which was the longest, was the year-long one. I don't know, I just don't know where they came up with the number or the reasoning. It just is strange to me, and I just don't understand it, and I think a lot of baseball fans don't understand it, to be honest, so I just wanted to bring that up because that was a big piece of news when that dropped on Thursday or Friday. So, number 2 I have here is about Robinson Cano. The Mets cut ties with Robinson Cano, DFAing him on Monday with the roster size cut from 28 to 26. Cano found himself on the outside looking in. And Cano, at 39 years old, is currently 8 for 41 this year, batting .195 with 1 home run in 12 games. He did miss the entire 2021 season, as you might remember, while serving a 162-game performance-enhancing drug suspension, which is the second PED suspension of his career. A third one would mean, permanent ban, I believe. So where does he go next from here? Is he? I saw there is some interest that teams do have, but I also know that he is 39, not playing extremely well. Is a problem now. His 2 PED suspensions. Is he a problem in the clubhouse? So I don't know what he does from here. I think that he could definitely find a home, but I just don't know. I just don't know where he goes next, and especially with that big contract, I'm sure that wherever he goes, it'll start anew. He won't get paid much, but I just wanted to bring that up because he was one of some years ago, he was the biggest star in the game just about, especially with the Yankees and Mariners when he was there. So kind of a little bit of a fall from grace for him in the last few years here. Number 3 I have just outside of baseball, outside of MLB I should say, but still baseball. Kelsey Whitmore, who you may not have heard of. She made history Sunday. She started in left field and batted 9th for the expansion Staten Island Ferry Hawks of the independent Atlantic League. She was the first woman ever to play and to start in an Atlantic League game. So, while not an MLB game or an affiliated team, like a double A or a single A or anything like that. There was the first woman to start in an Atlantic League game, an independent league, and there's been an increased kind of, talk surrounding, women getting more into baseball. They're starting to coach, and in sports in general, they're officiating and getting into the coaching side of things. So I think baseball is probably the most open door for women to come into sports, because football and hockey is probably off the board, and the WNBA, when it comes to basketball, there's already their own league. So I think baseball does have the most open door for women, and this could be, at this point, them knocking out the door. So I just thought that was really cool, and it could be very, very interesting to see a woman, the first woman athlete in pro baseball, would be a cool sight to see, whether she's a pitcher or outfielder or this or that. It would be a big breakthrough in the game, so I just thought that'd be cool to bring up. But those are my little 3 pieces of news, pretty big pieces of news regarding Cano and Bauer, but I know you have some pieces of news as well that kind of, was going on around baseball this past week.
Yeah. We've seen with the Mets, they threw a combined no-hitter. A couple pitchers combined no-hit the Phillies on Friday night. That's the first no-hitter of the year. It's a pretty big thing. Obviously, no-hitters are always, historic. We had Julio Rodriguez hit his first home run of his career yesterday against the Marlins in Miami. We some other things to look at. Overall, offense is down. The home runs have been down. The batting averages are way down. So, is this a change in the way people are going to hit? Are they going to go back to starting to hit base hits? Is the ball different? Oh, the batter's just not ready for the year, going into the year. Does that hurt them? A couple different questions there. And my last thing, really, for the most part, which is, the topic I wanted to bring up, is the hit-by-pitch problem that we've seen the Mets kind of involved in. Which, we just was announced that Buck Showalter is serving a 1-game suspension, and Yohan Lopez for the Mets is serving a 3-game suspension for trying to hit Schwarber yesterday towards the 9th inning of the game. But really didn't make sense. But, is there a problem, the Mets hit-by-pitch problem, are they, is it justified for them to be as upset as they've been and kind of fighting with 2 teams now? Right? We had the bench clearing with the Nationals and the bench clearing with the Cardinals. And, they have been hit. I think it's up to like 20 or 21 times now. They had been hit a lot. But if you look, I think it was like 11 or 12 of these hit by pitches. They're in the middle of an account with 2 strikes or 1 strike. And they're in the middle of bats. They're guys on base. They're not trying to hit somebody. Somebody's hitting the foot. J.D. Davis was hitting the foot or in the shin. Not trying to hit somebody in the shin. If you're going to hit somebody for some predestined reason, you're going to hit them in the back or in the upper leg or something. I just don't think that the justification of them being so upset. Yes, you get hit by a pitch, you're never really happy. And yes, some of these pitches have been up, hitting these guys in the heads and the hands. I get that. It's frustrating and not safe. But no one's trying to hit the guy in the head. No one's trying to do that. What do you want them to do? Not pitch inside? You're not the only team that gets hit. Yes, you got hit by more, but you have a great lineup. That would mean where's the best place to pitch him? Bust him inside. Right. What are you going to do with Pete Alonso? Not pitch inside? Not pitch Lindor inside? That's a great idea. Give home runs. And I get the idea. If you can't pitch inside, you can't control inside, then don't throw inside, right? It's dangerous. But you can't just not pitch inside. You can't be like, oh, well, we hit somebody, so I can't pitch inside anymore. Is it more the fact that the weather's still cold, the spring training was short, the balls have no stick to them? Have we seen that? Is that a problem? I think so. Chris Bassett for the Mets has mentioned that. The balls have nothing on them, and it's the MLB doesn't care that it's hard to grip.
Right.
Is that a problem? So, can the Mets be upset? I get it. You hit somebody in the head, and the Nationals hit him a couple times. But, Cardinals hit J.D. Davis in the ankle. They got upset about. You got taken out of the game. I get it. You got hit in the ankle. But, you can't get mad every time you get hit by a pitch. It can't be the way. Like the Mets and the Cardinals have a big rivalry, and they're like, oh, well, you hate each other, and they got hit in the shin, you got taken out of the game. It's like, here we go. It doesn't make sense. He hit him in the shin, he had strike on him. Like, what are you arguing? Oh, you hit him. I'm not happy. Okay, yeah. I'm not happy either.
Yeah, right.
So, I'm just not exactly sure why there's so much frustration with them, with these hit by pitches. And then, I don't care what anybody says. Was the pitch to Arenado all that close to him? No, it wasn't past his head, right? It didn't just miss him. He tried hitting him in the head. No doubt, hands down, he tried hitting him in the head. You don't throw a pitch there You don't throw a pitch there.
Right.
That's what Orlando was upset about. You see him say it. If you're going to hit me in the back. He knew it was coming. He almost hit him in the head.
Right. Instead of
wasn't that close to him, wasn't that close to him. Yeah, but when you know a pitch is coming, and the guy's throwing upper 90s, and you know you're probably thinking you're getting hit here, and then the ball starts coming towards your head, you're pretty scared. You stand there with 95 miles. Oh, it wasn't that close to him. Well, anything's too close for me at 95 miles per hour.
Right.
I just don't. Again, it is a problem. It's bad luck, but you can't just go nuts over the fact that you're getting hit. You have a great lineup that needs to be busted inside.
Yeah.
So, it's a tough problem. The Mets seem to always have injuries. The Mets are good, right? It's like, stop hitting us, but you just can't get upset all the time over someone hitting you, especially when you look at the case. Oh, they hit me. Well, it's 2 strikes on you. I wasn't trying to hit you with 2 strikes.
Yeah, they're trying to get you out,
Right? Oh, he hit the same guy 4 or 5 times. Even with 2 strikes, if it's the same guy 4 or 5 times by the same team, all right, hey, let's go. What's going on here?
Right.
Even 2-3 times in the same series, and it's the same. Even with 2 strikes at that point, you go, okay, you know what? Let's say something. Hey, what's going on? Let's get this started here. Not, I'm not saying come out and start fighting right then, but hey, you chirp from the dugout. What's going on? Right?
Yeah, right.
So, but like some of these, it's different players. I just get that it's the Lindor hitting the head, right? And it's the Alonso hitting the head, twice, I believe. I think that's the big thing with those ones. You take those ones out, it's just even then, we weren't trying to hit them obviously, but those get teams' attention.
Right.
And you just can't. You don't really want to do that, especially be fighting with everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then guess what? You face the Phillies a lot.
Yeah.
And now yesterday threw behind Schwarber because he had a couple home runs. That's the old Scott style approach. He had a couple home runs. You're winning big. Hey, here you go. Here's a ball in the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
You missed him twice, so you couldn't even hit him right. And you didn't. The Phillies never hit you, so it's like, what are you really doing? That's the old approach. You hit the home run, I hit you next, right? To Bob Gibson. You get like 1 hit, I'm hitting you. Done. All right.
Yeah.
But and then you fight the Cardinals. You're gonna see them again. You're gonna see them down. Why even get fighting with them?
Yeah.
You're waking up the lying dog or so, a sleeping dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't fight with everybody. Not every time you're trying to hit somebody. That's my biggest thing here. Not all these have been trying to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of them really were like intentional. I'm trying to hit you.
Yeah,
It
especially.
just happens. The ball slips, it tails, it hits. The guy's trying to throw 100. They don't care where it's going. To be honest, that's baseball, right? Ball's tailing more than ever. No sticky, substance. No control over the ball. Colder weather, and you have great hitters. Oh, well, the Reds don't get hit by pitches. They got 3 wins. Take the tee out there, put it out there. Who gives a hell? Who gives a hell, right? You got Pete Alonso. I'm not going to throw to the outside corner. The guy's built like a shed. He's going to hit. His master hits the home run derby. I'm not going to just throw it down the middle.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to bust him inside. That's where you hit. I don't know. It just seems it happens. I get it, and it's frustrating, but you can't fight everybody all the time. That's my biggest point here. It just seems sometimes they get hit. I was watching Tuesday the Cardinals game. The guy got hit, and I think it was J.D. Davis, and they were like on the dugout already, trying to fight. And Showalter's shaking his head. Hey, okay, you shake your head, you're upset, like they're ready to fight. And then they won the benches, and like the next time the Cardinals got up, the guy threw a curveball, hit Tommy Edman on top of the foot. Oh, here we go. You want to fight? Like, you don't see the Cardinals jumping out. You hit the guy on the top of the foot. It's a time and place. You got to understand when he hit you. Why did he hit you? Okay, it was 2 strikes. It was a curveball. Hit me in the foot. Some of them pitches were curveballs. Hit the Mets. I'm not trying to hit you with a curveball.
Right.
So just calm down. I get it. It's not because it's the Mets. Believe me. Any team. It could be the Yankees. Calm down. They're not trying to hit you all the time. It's just frustrating, especially if a guy gets hurt, which they haven't really got seriously hurt yet.
Right.
So he hasn't really seriously got hurt yet. We've seen Judge get hit, right? We've seen Jeter years back for the Yankees. These are just ones that we've seen. Teixeira, right? Those frustrate when they really get hurt and they're missing time, but you just can't be upset all the time someone gets hit.
Yeah, agreed. I think that it boils over, I guess, when they're being hit so much that they're like, what the hell's going on?
And like the up and ins. Those I get those. They're up and ins.
Yeah.
Like those, hey, let's say something right away, right? I get that.
Yeah.
You can't just be ready to fight every time someone hits you.
Yeah.
With 2 strikes and a curveball in the foot or the ankle or in the back. I get it.
Right.
You just can't do it.
And you see these guys, too, they get mad, not because they think they're being hit intentionally, because it's like, hey, you don't know where it's going. That's dangerous, Which there are a lot of relievers anymore, like you said, that just throw 100-mile-an-hour sinkers and stuff and things that have movement on them. They're just going to get loose and hurt someone, unfortunately. So they don't like to see that either. It's you do often see, I remember a few times players being hit and going like, you can't do that. Like, like be mindful of where you're throwing the ball.
Yeah.
You know?
The thing is, too, it's just like, when you get hit, it's an immediate frustration.
Yeah.
No matter what. The first, 3 seconds, you're just upset. That's why a lot of times you see, hey, and then it kind of diffuses itself. Because you're just not happy to get hit. We see McCutcheon was upset. He's brand new to the Brewers, and it's like, what is he kind of arguing about here, right? Well, the idea was he kind of expected the hit by pitch.
Right.
And the guy, toyed with him. Right? The guy toyed with him. He, threw a curveball outside. Then he threw, another pitch away, off speed. And then he beamed him. If you're going to hit me, hit me.
Yeah, don't.
Because the first pitch, you're kind of expecting it, right? You're kind of synced in. You're kind of ready. Then you start pitching. You go, oh, he's pitching to me. Then you kind of get into the bat. And then all of a sudden he beams you right in the back. And you're like, okay, I knew that's the intentional one. It's like, well, if you're going to do it, then do it.
Right.
Don't toy with me, because that's when you really start getting hurt. Right? You can mess with people. So we've seen that. And we've seen Wilson Contreras get hit by, I can't think who it is in
I'm not sure.
The Brewers, the Pirates.
I'm not sure.
One of those Central teams, he's got hit 30 times.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he's like, every time he gets hit, it's like, okay, see? That's when you start getting some problems where it's like, it doesn't take all these at-bat hits by pitches. He's been getting hit by the same team over and over. Okay, he's upset.
You're like, what's going on?
Now the team starts getting like, why do you keep hitting this guy? Even though a lot of times
this one guy.
It's not intentional, but that's causes stuff, right?
Right.
So I get the Mets frustration. I get the Mets fans frustration. It's just, you have to understand the situation before you really start flying off the hinges and getting mad. Because you don't want every team upset at you. Because then guess what? You will get hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
Right? You will get hit more. All of a sudden, I know you're not allowed to slide into second base. Doesn't mean I can't do it once and take Lindor out. Doesn't mean I can't step on Pete Alonso at first base. Doesn't mean now we're pissed off to face you, we're a rivalry, and now I want to beat you more. Right? You don't want to do that with every team.
Right.
You don't want a target on your back from every team. That's just not going to help you.
And they're somewhat of a target right now, too, because they are the best team in the National League. And they'll let you know it. And at this point, they have a pretty potent lineup. So, I understand frustration, too, from the point of, say you hit an Alonso or a Lindor who's hitting well right now, or an Eduardo Escobar at this point. You're taking the bat out of their hands. So I get that frustration, too, as a batter, where you're like, oh, man, I'm locked in right now. I'm ready to hit this ball. Maybe we have an RBI chance or something. So, it does boil over. There's a bunch of things that can go into it. There aren't many, if any, teams out there that are just going to be like, I'm going to hit this guy. It's just kind of out of baseball anymore, the hitting the guy,
Out of the blue.
Yeah, right, where it's just like...
You hit me a couple times back, hit me 2 times, you hit my guy, all of a sudden I get you back, and then it's like it boils over, and we see that back and forth. But just to be like, hey, start the year, here you go, and just start hitting guys. It's like, what are we doing?
Especially to start the year, like you said, guys are a little bit rusty, like you said, there's no sticky stuff on the ball.
The Mets thing last night was a more old school. With the 2 home runs, you got a base hit. All of a sudden, they tried beaming them. That was an old school thing.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. It just I get the frustration. I don't think,
it's all the time. It's justified. Yeah.
Because I can't just not pitch inside. Okay, I'm gonna let Alonso extend on the ball every time and just let him crush the ball. Like, no, I'm trying to win games here.
Yeah.
The ball slips once in a while. It slips from everybody. I get the frustration. I get it on both sides. I think the Mets just need to calm down a little bit. I think the season's, new energy, new hype, new coaching, everything's kind of...
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, we're ready to win, we're going to get all these expectations, and then you start getting hit by pitches, and it's just like, those expectations, that energy, that hype, all of a sudden turns into, hey, well, it's easy to fly off the hinges, but you got to kind of calm down, understand what's going on, and just be like, okay, I get what's going on.
And I do get the up and in ones where you really,
And we'll get them back later.
Yeah.
We'll get back at a later date.
Yeah.
If you want to. It's not just, don't understand all the time. You just need to, every hit by pitches, I hate you.
And, you do see guys, sometimes they get hit, but they're like, we'll get them back with the bat. We'll make them pay for it.
It happens. Still second.
Yeah.
It's just, you just can't be mad at every hit by pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. But the Mets are good right now, so, it's not really, doesn't seem to be hurting their vibe,
No,
you know
just,
what I mean?
Like I said, it's frustrating as a fan and a player, sure. I just, you have to be careful doing that all the time.
Yeah. I agree.
Because then you throw one pitch, you hit somebody, and now they're going to start fighting you. And you're like, well, I didn't do nothing. It's like, well, you're doing it to everybody else, right?
Right, yeah, you got a target on your back already, so why make the target bigger kind of thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, well, the Mets are, like I said, actually, I'll kind of good segue right here into the who's doing the best right now. Currently, the Yankees hold the best record in the league at 16-6, while the Blue Jays and Angels are tied for second in the AL at 15-8. Over in the NL, the Mets hold the best record at 16-7, while the Dodgers on the second best record at 14-7. Dodgers on the best run differential at plus 47, like every week that we do this. And the Reds have the worst run differential at -65. They have 3 wins, and it is May 2nd as of recording this. So pretty Diamondbacks-esque from last year.
My God,
Yes.
yes.
Looking quite like that. So Reds are not doing good, but as we mentioned, Mets are doing very, very well. They are the best in the National League right now. So first time that we have done this podcast, and you have both New York teams at the top. So, which is, for our area, is very exciting. Whether that lasts or not, or whether the Mets kind of keep their, almost like a rabid dog off a leash, with all the energy they have with their pitching rotation and their lineup, and the hit by pitches, and they're externalizing all their emotions. So kind of crazy time for them, and Mets fans are, I guess, along for the ride at this point. So let's move on from there to the who's hot and who's not section of the show. I don't believe I have the players of the week. They did release the pitchers of the month, players of the month, rookies of the month, relievers of the month, all that good stuff. I don't have any of that, and I don't believe I have the players of the week here either. I don't have the players of the week, but I do have my 5 guys here. The 5 guys I do have are Manny Machado, batting .462 over the last week, with a .654 slugging and an 1137 OPS. Kyle Tucker, batting .476 over the last week with a .905 slugging and a 1360 OPS. Victor Robles, batting .500 over the last week with a .611 slugging and an 1161 OPS. Jeff McNeil, batting .533 over the last week, 733 slugging and a 1296 OPS. And finally, as he has kind of done all year, Nolan Arenado, batting .471 over the last week with a 765 slugging and a 1315 OPS. So those are your hot guys. Like I said, I don't have the players of the week, but these guys, I'm surprised that these guys weren't considered, especially, well, I guess Nolan Arenado got player of the month, so I guess they gave it to someone else for once. So
Yeah.
the guy's just been on an absolute tear at the plate. So, well, as he usually is, he's just one of those players. So those are my 5 hot hitters for the week.
Yeah, and some guys I got, some teams I got here, just to mention, some hot teams. I know you were talking about the New York teams. The Twins playing well. Angels, after their first couple games, were pretty cold there. The Marlins had a 7-game win streak going. The Marlins good. Like, can they score? With the pitching's playing good, right? The pitching you expect to be good. If they score, or the Marlins actually good, can they compete? Yeah, if they're going to score with that pitching, they're competing. I don't care what division they're in, right? Especially with the expanded playoffs. Then you want to face them in the playoffs with that pitching? Not really.
No.
Brewers playing good. Padres been getting carried by Machado, like you already mentioned. Some cold teams I want to throw out there as well. The Red Sox, White Sox not playing good. White Sox with some injuries, really hurting them.
Yeah, they've been bad.
Cleveland, the Royals just got swept by the Yankees. The A's, after a relatively hot start for a team that's not, built to do anything, struggling here. Nationals been bad. Cubs been struggling. Suzuki's been struggling. And the Reds, historically bad. 3 wins. They've only held the lead for a few innings even for the year, let alone, win games.
Right.
So there's some teams I just want to throw to add to your collection there. And some hitters I wanted to add. You mentioned Tucker and Yordan Alvarez. Taylor Ward for the Angels playing great here. Eric Hosmer's going nuts this year. Padres trying to get rid of him for almost a year now, and he's going nuts. Aaron Judge starting to heat up, right? Playing very good. Contract year for him. And J.P. Crawford, top prospect for the Phillies some years ago, and ever since he's really got to the Mariners, he's been playing really good.
Yeah,
he
been
blossomed
great.
a little later than maybe the Phillies would wanted, and now he's starting to really show off here the last couple of years.
Right.
And some pitchers that are doing good. Logan Gilbert for the Mariners.
Yeah, he's been great.
Pitcher of the month. He's got a .68 ERA or something for the year. He's doing great. Pitched good last year towards the end there. Garrett Cole stepped it up his last couple starts. Anthony Bender, reliever for the Marlins, playing good. Jordan Romano for the Blue Jays has a league lead in saves. What's he got, like 8 or 11 or something like that?
I think he had 10. Yeah.
I think he had one yesterday. I think he might have 11.
Yeah,
he's got a bunch.
Yeah, he won reliever of the month. So.
Yeah, and Kevin Gausman pitching like Cy Young at this point.
Yeah.
So there's some pitchers also that are really pitching good over here the last 7 to 10 days.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely been some good pitching, like you said at the top of the show. Offense is down, so kind of makes sense that you're seeing a lot of good pitching. Well, we'll also see, now we're in May, we're kind of getting out of maybe if there was a little bit more spring training, maybe guys are starting to find their swing. I know there's guys that just don't do good in cold weather, so there's always that question, so season's long. So it's just kind of, May is a new month. Some guys just turn it on a new month. It's like, as soon as the calendar page turns, it's like all of a sudden they're another player. It's strange.
Curtis Granderson was one guy like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He could just turn it on, and all of a sudden he's got 10 home runs in a month, So let's move on to the cold players, basically my entire fantasy team at this point. Or at least that's how it feels. Number 1, Salvador Perez, again on my fantasy team, batted 080 over the last week with a 120 slugging and a 235 OPS. Jurickson Profar with an 080 average, a 240 slugging, and a 419 OPS. Jackie Bradley Jr. at 042 over the last week with an 042 slugging and an 084 OPS. Nelson Cruz, 087 over the last week with an 087 slugging and a 272 OPS. And Ozzy Albies at 091 average over the last week with an 091 slugging and a 291 OPS. And I believe to that point, Ozzy Albies had been pretty unbelievable for the Braves. I think he had a pretty damn hot start. So I guess that kind of, you go right from that to you cool off a little bit. It's just kind of how the season goes. So those are the 5 Cole players I have. Again, I'm surprised that my entire fantasy team isn't on that list because it's just how they hit last week. But yeah, those are the 5 Cole players I got.
Yeah, and to add to some of these and even reiterate some of these, I'm sure Jackie Bradley Jr. Cold list for 3 years now. Marcus Semien been really bad for the Rangers altogether.
Right.
Nelson Cruz struggling again. He's 40 plus years old, so a team that's not doing that good. So I guess time's coming. What else we got here? We mentioned Ozzy Albies. Dylan Carlson's been struggling all year. His exit velocity's been very low. Even on he's just not hitting the ball hard altogether. Mm-hmm. And Hunter Dozier, another one, not playing good. Pitching wise, Reaver C. Martin or Sir Martin for the Reds. He gave 11 runs in one start. Mm-hmm. It was against the Rockies there, or 8 runs, something crazy. He's obviously not pitching good. Right. Carlos Carrasco struggled over his last start or so after coming out pretty hot. Alex Cobb off the IL, pitching bad. Yemeni Garcia out of the bullpen, not pitching great. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Mueller for the Braves got beat up over his last start. So there's some pitchers there that aren't really playing that good either.
Right. Yeah. Again, we always say, I feel like every week there's a lot of cold guys that come up on the list that don't really make sense. But everyone has their week. Everyone has their time in the sun. There's some guys that seems like they win Player of the Week all the time, and there's some guys that just takes a few weeks to get going. Guy comes to mind, Jose Ramirez, having an unbelievable start to the season, could be an MVP candidate. But he's also a guy that you could see on the cold list for 3 weeks. So it's just there's certain guys that are like that. So hopefully, again, like I always say, just keep the cold streaks to a minimum and play to the back of your baseball card, and you'll have a good year. So. Same thing with the pitchers. Even though there's been really good pitching this year, you'd like to see guys coming out of April and they have a closer to a 3 or 4 ERA. They're figuring it out. They're getting their velocity up, blah, blah, blah. Getting their pitch break going, and the revolutions or how much the ball is spinning. I know guys are big on that anymore. So, the season goes on. We're into May, and we will see what the future holds for some of these players and some of these teams. But yeah, that's kind of what I have for my notes here as far as this episode goes. I know you usually have the injury update for us, and I know you said prior to the show that the injuries were on the better side this week, which we always like to see. So yeah, I'll let you get into the injuries.
Yeah, the injuries were relatively good news. We didn't really see many big time injuries, and we've seen a lot of people come back for the most part, or on the verge of coming back. We see Joey Gallo day-to-day with groin tightness. Not really expecting much there. Gallagher for the Royals, placed on the IL with hamstring tightness. He's the backup catcher there. Bobby Witt was hit by a pitch, I believe, Saturday night. He's day-to-day. They expect him to be all right, but he's day-to-day right now, so that's relatively good news. Miguel Sano placed on the IL. Otani missed a game. Was pulled out of a game for, I believe, tightness in his hamstring or his legs. Not expected to be IL stint or serious. He's supposed to be back here, but something to take note of.
No, he had an at-bat today, so
there you go.
Which I was surprised at.
So we did have Eddie Rosario, had eye surgery. He's expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks. That's a big one. Sean Reed-Foley for the Mets, expected to have Tommy John, so that's another relatively big injury there. Jonathan India placed in the IL again with the hamstring after he just came off the IL with hamstring. Yeah. Mitch Haniger placed back on the IL. He missed many days with the COVID, and then he came back first at-bat and had a high ankle sprain, so he's expected to miss some time. Chris Bryant placed in the IL with back soreness, or back stiffness, so he shouldn't be out more than about 10 days. That's good.
Right.
On the better side of the injury news, Teoscar Hernandez going for a rehab assignment. Jan Moncada was already on a rehab assignment, so they should be coming back. Altuve expected back today, back in the lineup. Sergio Romo throwing the ball, doing his bullpen session, so he should be back here pretty shortly. DeGrom, they said it was considerable healing. or progress. So he should hopefully be back at some point this year. Luis Urias for the Brewers was activated over the weekend. Flaherty for the Cardinals is starting to ramp up a little bit. His throwing, so he should hopefully be back here, probably closer to mid to end of this month, probably closer to the end of the month. Sale again was doing he's starting to ramp up some throwing as well. He'll hopefully be clear for mound work at some point soon. Another one probably towards the end of May. He'll be back. Tyler Stevenson off the IL, the concussion IL. They're hoping to have him back this week at some point. It's a concussion, so you don't really know. We have Tommy Kahnle activated from the Dodgers. This is the first time he's going to pitch in over a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year and a half. And Mike Clevenger expected to be activated today to start versus Cleveland for the Padres.
Yeah.
So those are some relatively big names on the verge of coming back, and some really important players for these teams. So it's definitely better injury list. One of those weeks where you got more guys back and less serious injuries. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And how appropriate is it that Mike Clevenger's coming back against Cleveland?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Who wrote that?
Yeah. So that's all I had here for the injuries. Like I said, we had pretty much a good amount. We're into the season now, so we're starting to see some of the rust shake off. Some of these guys are going to start averaging out. We're going to see pitchers throwing 100 pitches. Right, we've seen a complete game shutout of Walker Buehler the other day. So things are starting to kind of even out. The weather's starting to turn, so we're starting to see some real baseball.
Right.
In the way the game's going to be played. The roster's kind of thinning out a little bit, so that's good. The last little thing I got here for this week, this episode, is our trivia question. And with the Mets throwing the combined no-hitter, I wanted to keep it kind of in that realm there. So the trivia question is, there's been 17 combined no-hitters, counting the Mets one on Friday, and it will be history. Which players combined for the first one? And the answer is on June 23rd, 1917. Babe Ruth, of course. Of course it was Babe Ruth, right? And Ernie Shore combined for the no-hitter for the Red Sox. The Red Sox won 4-0 versus the Senators. Babe Ruth pitched 0 innings, got 0 outs, and faced one batter before he got ejected for arguing balls and strikes and getting in an argument with the umpire and getting ejected. Therefore, Ernie Shore came in and pitched all 9 innings. The batter that was walked by Babe Ruth was caught stealing on the first pitch or second pitch of Ernie Shore coming in. He was thrown out, obviously caught stealing, and Ernie Shore went on to retire the next 26 batters and throw a no-hitter. So the first combined no-hitter was in 1917 by Babe Ruth, who threw 0, got nothing, no outs, just walked the guy, and Ernie Shore, who got all 27 outs.
Practically a perfect game by Ernie.
Yeah. And Babe Ruth gets credit for a no-hitter, and Babe Ruth, again, is in the history book for another stat or another history or trivia question or whatever you want to put. Seems to always get back down to Babe Ruth.
Always finds his way into a stat, something crazy in baseball. He's just always there.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story. I didn't know it was Babe Ruth. I've heard the story before. I know you've probably told me it before, but I forgot it was Babe Ruth that did that, which makes sense. If you knew his character back in the day, that, what he was kind of like. Sometimes he was a bit rough, especially with the umpires, so it makes sense.
Yeah, back in the day, you were kind of allowed to be.
Oh, yeah, they
back
just,
to some old rules. You were allowed to just beat people up. Like the umpire and
be belligerent towards the umpire and
Yeah.
call him this and that, and so that's just kind of how it was. But that's a funny story and underrated pitching performance by
Ernie Shore.
Just pretty cool. Cool little stat.
Yeah, he did all the work, and he didn't even. You think of a combined no hitter in that game, you're thinking Babe Ruth, even though he did nothing, and Ernie Shore did all the work. He's still Babe Ruth.
Yeah, right, because he started the game, so it's like, oh, Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
He was part of that game.
Yeah, that's all you think of. You don't think of Ernie Shore actually did all the work.
No. But yeah, that's cool. That's a cool little history. It's always amazing what you can learn about the history of baseball, stuff like that. That's kind of all I have for this episode, though. Episode 106 of Screwball. As we kind of say every week, the play is getting better. Hopefully the hitters start to wake up a little bit with the warmer weather. Ball starts to fly a little more. And we are into May. So first month down, we saw some surprising players and teams kind of come out of the woodwork. To our surprise, the Giants are still very good.
Yeah.
Which I just can't believe at this point.
I think we've really seen, too, the closeness of a lot of these teams early on.
Yeah.
A lot of times you got a couple teams kind of falling back, a couple teams running away with it. Relatively, you got, other than the Reds, kind of falling back, right? There's no team really running away with it too much.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of teams are in the mix. Arizona with one of the worst batting averages, like a 180 team average, and they're like 2-3 games under 500.
Yeah.
The Marlins not expect to hit much, and they're they won 7 in a row, and they're in the division race. We have Colorado, surprising. Pittsburgh is doing way better than they should be. They should have 3 wins.
Yeah.
Baltimore in a tough division, at least doing all right. So a lot of things are pretty close yet. And I know, again, it's only, you could say it's the second month, but even though it's, season started a little later, usually by this time you got a couple teams fading away, a couple teams running away with it, and a lot of middling teams. So right now you have a lot of teams just kind of together.
Mm.
So that's good, especially with extended playoffs. You're going to have a lot of playoff races all year long.
Yeah. That'll be great. I love close, it's only April, so teams come out hot, they're believing, and all of a sudden they fall behind, and you kind of never look, you don't really look for a playoff spot. And we kind of know the teams that are going to end up there, but it is nice to see that there's more competition and that, as we were talking, the Mets have the best record in the NL, Yankees in the best in the AL. Yankees, I think, are only a half a game up on the next best team, which I believe is the Blue Jays. And the Angels, but in the NL, I think the Mets are only up a game, so it's not like there's big separation yet. Anything can happen, and there's some really high, and we haven't even seen, in my opinion, the best of the White Sox yet, with the Twins at the top of that division. So there's going to be a race there, I'm sure, and even the Braves over in the NL East are still, kind of trying to get off of a cold start without Acuna. You just gotta love the races and. Hopefully, if you're a fan of a team, hopefully they got off to a good April start, because that means that they're in a much better spot looking back at games that they lost in April, and they go, oh, crap, if we only had that one more win, So you always like to have that good record coming into May. It can really jumpstart a season.
Yeah, and again, we say it all the time. You hear a lot of people say, you can't win the World Series in April, but you can lose it.
Yeah.
So just kind of middle around, at least, for a little while. I mean, look at the Braves. They middled around for a whole half a year to win the World Series. We've seen the Nationals be terrible into mid to late May and win the World Series.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that approach, but the middling idea is not a bad idea. Kind of middle around, stay in the hunt, and then go nuts.
Yeah, the point is that anything can happen. So we shall see. We are into a new calendar month, and that's in itself exciting. That we'll see new players emerge, new pitchers emerge, and someone will have a 12 home run month, I'm sure, and someone will have like a .5 ERA again, So it just seems just kind of how it goes each month. You just have your moment in the sun. So again, though, that's kind of all I have for this episode. We'll look forward to next week, and hopefully not as much controversy as kind of what I brought up in the in the first 2 pieces of news. But yeah, just look forward to more good baseball.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like you said, we're getting to the second month here. We're going to get down to real baseball. Pitchers kind of stretched out. Hitters ready to go. Weather turning up here, getting warmer. And you're already going to start talking about, trades and moves that could be made and, and playoff races already with the expanded playoffs. It starts early. You get through May. When you get through April, it's just like it getting warmed up. And then you get into May and it's like, all right, we're in the playoffs. There's only 2 ways about it. It's early yet, and then it's all right. We got to talk about playoffs and making adjustments and sending guys down, calling people up, and making this roster, fine tuning it.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're looking at where you could you could place in the division. So, yeah, we shall see. But yeah, that's all I got. So unless you have any final notes, I guess we can wrap this one up.
No, that's it. Like I said, it's a lot of teams pretty close. We got some teams on some winning streaks and some losing streaks. We've had a couple win streaks already. 9 games, 7 games, 8 games. I mean, we had some losing streaks of 4, 5, 6 games.
Kind of like last year.
We already seen some streaky teams, yeah. And we've seen a lot of teams kind of in the hunt already and close to each other, which is, it's one game here or there. So that's exciting, especially for a lot of these fan bases, like the Marlins and things like that, to be in the hunt.
Absolutely.
Because you just don't want to be, out of it in April and May.
No, you definitely
the Reds
don't.
are out of it, right?
Yeah, they're done.
Unless they just pull some miraculous. I mean, they got to win 15 straight just to get to 500, right?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't much expected from them anyway, so there's not going to be like anyone shedding tears. But
you go, maybe they can middle around, at least keep the fans involved for a little while.
Yeah.
Right now, you're already out of it. You got 3 wins. It's May.
Right, and the thing too of that means your players probably aren't having great years, and you'd like in the position you're in to have players have good years so you can get good trade pieces, build for the future, because that's kind of the point they're at. So. I don't know. We have a whole lot of baseball yet to play this year, and it could play out in any different kind of way. So, but yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @Lepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E and Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.